All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Free. I'm Ryan. I'm the pastor and executive director here. This is Noel, our community director here. So good to be with you all tonight. And for those of you joining us online, welcome to Free. We're glad you're here. Whatever state you're joining us from, or sober living house, or treatment center, or living room, we're glad you're part of this community. This is a community for addicts, loved ones of addicts, and spiritual refugees. And what we do here is break the silence of addiction and create space for healing, recovery, and spiritual connection. And there's always one thing we don't do. Y'all can shout it out on the count of three. 1, 2, 3.
We don't do shame.
Oh, man.
We don't do shame. All the
Back
way in the
row.
back shouting
They really
it out.
carried it tonight. Yeah, that was
Hot
great.
dang. Noel, do we have some other things coming up that they might want to know about?
Absolutely. If tonight is your first night at Free, welcome. We are so grateful you're here with us tonight. Get with a home team member or a free staff member, and we will get you hooked up with a welcome bag. And inside this welcome bag, it has a little bit about what we do here at Free Recovery Community. There is some fresh roasted wagon coffee in this bag, a little bit about what wagon coffee does, and just some other free swag. So grab one of these bags and just know that we are so grateful you are here with us tonight. Next up, this coming Tuesday, Rev Ryan and Eric Birchfield, they are kicking off a 6-week Bible Curious series. So it'll be Tuesdays from noon to 1, but you have got hammered on questions over the past couple months.
I did not get hammered, but yes, I did get hammered with questions.
I could have chose my words better.
My whole sobriety almost just went underground.
You have gotten so many questions.
So many questions. Yeah, that's why we're doing this, because so many of you have said along the way, you're like, hey, these stories, these Bible stories, I don't know much about them, but they seem really fascinating when you talk about them and when we're exploring those together. And so we're just going to do, last service I called it like a mid-dive, right?
Yeah. Like,
maybe there'll be a deep dive. We're going to ask all kinds of questions together, but...
Yeah. Maybe like the 4 feet in the swimming pool kind
waist
of dive.
deep?
Yeah.
Waist deep.
Yeah. You
That's
don't need a flotation device, but enough to feel like you're swimming.
Yeah, this is really going downhill. Y'all are welcome to come. It's going to be so fun. We're going to ask lots of questions, and we're going to see how, I don't know, we're going to see where we end together.
Yeah, so if you're someone who's never opened a Bible or you are a wannabe theologian, come join us Tuesdays, starting this coming Tuesday on the 16th, noon to 1 in the cafe next door. It'll be 6 weeks. It'll be a good time.
It's going to be good.
Next up, our storyteller tonight. It was phenomenal. Man, the 5 o'clock was so good. Ryan Fila, and we are...
In the house? Stand up, Ryan. Let people see you.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even notice he was here. There he is.
Didn't even know he was here.
He took off, he was wearing a salmon sweatshirt, and so I was looking for the salmon, and I didn't see him, but now there he is.
Oh, it was pink. Salmon. Okay, we'll go with salmon.
Thank you. So Ryan is the founder and creator of Dynamic Dinners. So we are teaming up with Ryan and Dynamic Dinners to have three consecutive months. It'll be the last Friday of every month. So April, we're kicking this off. It'll be April 26th, Friday, 5:30 to 8 in this room right next door in the cafe. Why would you go to Dynamic Dinner? It is intentional, sober connection. So if you are someone who is seeking connection outside of maybe 12-step meetings or whatever other space that you have, this is the place for it. Really intentional connection. Gosh, it's going to be a good time.
It's going to be good.
Yeah.
I hope you all sign up. I'll be at Tammy and I will be at the April one coming up, so we would love for you to join us.
Yeah.
Oh, someone asked our last service if it was for couples. No, it's not just for couples. Yeah, I mean, you can certainly be a couple, and Tammy and I are a couple. We're going to go.
Mickey and I are signed up for the May one.
Yeah. So you can be a couple, but you don't have to be a couple. It's for single people, too. It's for all people. Come check it out. It's going to be a good time.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can register on our website or via the flyer with the QR code or on the Dynamic Dinner website, but it's $55 a plate. And so that gets you dinner, and it's from 5:30 to 8, and just an evening of intentional connection.
Yeah.
So it'll be great. We have Jerome in the house tonight.
Jerome Uckstead is in the house. Come on up here, Brother Jerome.
Welcome Jerome up here. Jerome, I'm going to pass off the mic for you. Thank you.
Jerome, tell us what's coming up, dude.
Okay, I'm here to talk to you about something very passionate to me. We're hosting our 2nd annual golf tournament at Arrowhead Golf Course the day after Father's Day. So I can't think of too many more special things to give or gift someone who's a father that is looking for another reason to get a half day off work because it's a 2 o'clock in the afternoon tea time.
On a Monday?
On a Monday. It's going to be exceptional. Anyone that was there last year understands like Arrowhead is not your everyday course. It's like playing golf in Garden of the Gods. We have multiple opportunities to either sponsor or participate in the event. Please check it out on the website. I'll be here after the service tonight as well to answer any questions. We would love to see you there. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Jerome. Sign up for the golf tournament. It's in June. All right, brother. Well, the way we start here at Free on a Saturday night, if you're new with us, we start with celebrations. We lift up the good. We start with the good. Maybe you're celebrating a sobriety anniversary or a birthday or new kids, new homes, new jobs, a new thing you're experiencing in recovery. We take 3 minutes for this. We celebrate it together. A profound thing happens when we come together and celebrate, and we believe God joins with us in the celebrations. If you're online, drop your celebrations in the YouTube comments or the Facebook comments, whatever platform you're joining us from. We will celebrate with you there. We take 3 minutes for this. Dara will pass around a mic on this side. Paige will pass around a mic on this side. You can simply raise up your hand and give us the good word. Let's take 3.
Hi, I'm April. I'll have 6 months in recovery on Monday, the 15th.
Way to go, April. Tax day, 6 months.
Hi everyone, my name is Jordan. I just barely celebrated my 10 months clean stream, and then I'm also moving out of sober living and into my own apartment.
All right, way to go, Jordan. Good
Hey, I'm
stuff,
Wendell. I kind of had a relapse there, and I have like 3 or 4 days clean.
All right, man. We'll celebrate that. 3-4 days, get back on the wagon. Glad you're here.
Teray, I have 33 days today.
Teray, 33 days in the house. Teray, what's your shirt say? Oh, sober, not dead. I love it. All right.
I'm Christy. I'm an alcoholic, and my son is visiting from Virginia for 12 days, and we're going to celebrate his 23rd birthday on Monday.
All right. Happy birthday to the son. Very cool.
Tina, alcoholic. I just sold my house and moved to a safer part of town, and it is heaven. So excited.
All right. Tina moved to heaven. We'll celebrate that. What's that? Oh. Anyone else? Right here in the middle.
Hi, my name is Rachel. I've been sober for a little over 3 years, and this one here wants me to tell you that it's his big brother's birthday today.
All right.
He's 25, and we're thankful he's in our lives, huh?
Happy birthday, big brother. We'll celebrate that.
I'm Mark, 37 days clean and sober off of meth.
All right, way to go, Mark. Glad you're here, dude.
And I'm Melanie. I'm an alcoholic, and I reached my 4-month sobriety on Sunday of this past week. So,
all right, Melanie.
Thank you.
Man, it just keeps going up. All right, we got time for one more.
My name's Arnold. I'll be 10 months clean since my last lapse on Monday, and next Friday I'll be back in good standings with Stout Street so I can start volunteering again. Thank you.
All right, way to go, Arnold. Glad you're here, dude. Tammy Canaday is joining me up here. Welcome, Tammy Canaday.
Hello.
Is your mic on?
Check, check.
Oh, it's on. All right, shall we celebrate with our online people?
We shall.
Let's do that. You want the first one?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Hey, Susan. Celebrating seeing my brother in sober living today. Enjoying his new job and love seeing him happy.
All right, Susan, we're going to celebrate that with you. Amber says, happy 30th birthday, Haley Lynn. Happy birthday, Haley Lynn.
Awesome.
The big 3-0.
Hey, Kai, celebrating 393 days free of fentanyl.
Kai, 393. Woo-hoo! Grace says, Sarah here. I just got 6 months sober last week. Way to go,
job,
Sarah. We'll
Sarah.
celebrate you tonight. Beautiful. All right, thank you, Tammy. You know what? I'll take this and put it on a couch for Ryan. Not myself, but the other Ryan. All right, y'all. We are, so we're in the second week of the series called Now What? We're going to explore all kinds of topics. Last week we explored, I got into recovery, now what? Next week, I forget what next week is. Teray's our guest storyteller next week. It's going to be powerful. I let my guard down, now what? Woo, vulnerability, let's talk about it, how it transforms us. Tonight we're going to talk about the family stuff. My family's a mess. Now what? All right, well, let's just start here. If you look at your family, your extended family and your immediate family, if you say to yourself, man, I just have the perfect family, would you just be willing to raise your hand? All right, no one's raising their hand here. Yeah, we're a mess, aren't we? Y'all, it's why we're talking about this tonight, actually. It's why we're here tonight. And what I do know is when you're going through some messy family dynamics, it can feel like you're the only person on planet Earth who has ever dealt with this thing, and it feels lonely, and you tell yourself alone, you're alone. And what I know is you're not alone, and that's demonstrated through no one raising their hand tonight. And what I know is in any community, especially a community filled with really messy people like addicts and loved ones of addicts and spiritual refugees, well, we bring certain things to the table in this conversation. Some of us, we bring childhood trauma or even adulthood trauma. We bring family dysfunction and really complex family dynamics, so much so to where if I were to ask you, talk to me about your family, for some of you, you wouldn't even know where to start because it's that messy. We bring into the conversation strained family relationships, even breaking hearts. And did you know 80% of Americans say they come from dysfunctional families? That's not 80% of people in recovery. That's 80% of people living in America say they come from dysfunctional families. And maybe you're here tonight and you say, man, my family is a complete mess. And now what? What do I do? And isn't it interesting when we get into conversations like this, you'll often hear the question, does it get better? And it's interesting because what's the it? Like when you say, does it get better, what? Does like the family unit get better? Do those people get better? And I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. But I think what we're really asking in those moments is, do I get better? Can I experience healing? Or does the pain of family dysfunction, does it just kind of hover and last forever? You know, there's a therapy fable that has been told and retold throughout the years. And once upon a time, a woman moved up to a remote cave. And she wanted to go study with this particular spiritual guru. And she said to this guru in the cave, she said, I want to learn everything there is to know. And the spiritual guru says, great, and he lays down a big pile of books, and then he leaves the cave, and he comes back the next morning, and he says to the woman in the cave, do you yet know everything there is to know? And she says, oh my goodness, it's only day one. I'm still on the first book. I don't yet know. And he takes out his wooden cane, and he strikes her over the head, and he walks out of the cave. And the next day he comes back and he asks the same question. Do you yet know everything there is to know? And she says, oh my goodness, it's only day 2. I'm barely through the books. And no, I don't know everything there is to know. And he takes out his wooden cane and he strikes her over the head and walks out. And this happens for months. Same question, same answer. And on this particular day, the guru walks into the cave and he says to the woman, do you yet know everything there is to know? And she says, I'm not there yet. I don't know everything there is to know. And he takes out his wooden cane and he begins to strike her. But on this particular day, she reaches up and she grabs the cane. And she looks away because she's fearful of retribution and judgment from the guru. But then she looks up at him, and to her great surprise, she's smiling. The guru is smiling. And he says, congratulations. You have graduated. You now know everything you need to know. And she says, I don't get it. I mean, how is it possible? How do I know those things? And he says to her, you know everything you need to know, and now you have learned how to stop the pain. You see, my brothers and sisters, when it comes to your really messy family situations, what does it look like for you to have healthy boundaries in your life so that you might actually stop the pain? And there's a very simple question you could ask yourself, and that is what you're doing right now, is it working? Is it working? Anyone familiar with the Cartman drama triangle? Yes, you're going to find this fascinating. The Cartman drama triangle, this was developed by Dr. Stephen Cartman in the 1960s. It's still widely used in psychiatry today. He laid out for us in this model the 3 roles that we can take on, and they're always shifting. Sometimes we can take on all 3 roles at the same time. But he starts with the victim. You can see the victim at the bottom. And it's important to note in this model, the victim is not an actual victim, but it's someone who's playing the role of the victim, someone who's acting like a victim. And what do victims love to do? They try to convince themselves and everyone around them that there is nothing they can do, nothing can be done at all. All my attempts are futile, even though I've tried really hard. And what's her favorite line? Poor me. Poor me, nothing's ever going to change. This is just the way it is. Anyone play the role of the victim? Come on, we can own it. We don't do shame here. How about the next one, the rescuer? Yeah, we got some rescuers in the house. I know we do. Favorite line of the rescuer, what is it? Let me, there's a proud rescuer here. Let me help you. Classic enabler, and the rescuer feels guilty if they don't come to the rescue, and then they get angry and they can become the persecutor because they've seen that the help they offered, it didn't create the change that they were hoping to create. The rescuers keep victims dependent. They don't allow the victim permission to fail. And when the rescuer focuses all their energy on someone else, then they ignore what's happening in here. They ignore their own feelings of anxiety. You rescuers, it makes sense? Yeah, then you got the persecutor. Persecutor, what's the favorite line of the persecutor? It's all your fault. I'm in this situation because of you. This is your fault. The persecutor is controlling and blaming and oppressive and angry, and they get rigid. And if they're blamed, the persecutor might even become defensive. And then they can switch roles to the victim. And if they're attacked by the rescuer or the victim, they might then become, again, the persecutor. I mean, it just goes in this vicious cycle. Do you see how in this model, all the unhealth, all the drama, it just stays in circulation? Yeah, we rescue the victim, and after we rescue the victim, we become the persecutor. And to complicate matters, the person that we rescued, they don't even appreciate it. They're not even grateful. And then what do? We play the role of the victim. And we moan and we complain, and you'll hear people say it all the time. Why does this always happen to me? I got trampled on again. I guess this is just my plot in life. This is just my cross to bear. Poor me. And then you wonder where shame comes from. When you're living in the drama triangle, this thing just creates shame. It fosters self-hate. Y'all, I've been in these cycles. I know these cycles. I've seen these cycles in my life. Do you know I got sober when Tammy was 9 months pregnant with our second baby girl, Shiloh? And during that pregnancy, she would say things to me like, Ryan, you know if you're not sober to drive me to the hospital when I go into labor, I will have to call a friend to pick me up and take me to the hospital. And I couldn't understand it. I mean, she used to like rescue me. She used to protect the secret. And now she's putting up these crazy boundaries. I couldn't understand it. And I would say, honey, you can't, we got to exhaust our options here. You can't just go call a friend. What about Uber? What about Lyft? We got to get creative here, but you can't just go tell friends because then they're going to find out about this stuff. They're going to find out about the secret you've been helping me keep. And honey, you can't just go tell friends about this because you know that might create in me some shame. And you wouldn't want to do that to me, right? Do you see how we can become the victim and the persecutor all in the same breath? So Ryan got sober. And I drove her to the hospital, stone cold sober. In fact, since then, I have not picked up a drink or a mind-altering drug. And I say that because life was good. 3 years went by, we had another child. Breck came into the picture. Beautiful moment. Life was good. Three more years go by, and we find out Tammy is pregnant with our fourth child, and life isn't so good. Because, y'all, we never planned to have that fourth child. I got 3 blessings tattooed on my hand. We thought we were done at 3, and then we find out she's pregnant with the fourth child. Life is not so good in that moment. And what I'm about to share with you, I share with Tammy's permission. She has spoken publicly about this. Very important to point out. But y'all, she was so angry. And it wasn't just for days or weeks. She was angry for like 3 months. Angry. Intimacy in our marriage wasn't exactly up there. I was put into exile for obvious reasons. She was so angry. It wasn't just affecting her or me anymore. It was affecting like the people around her. So we're sitting at the kitchen table one morning and we're having breakfast together. And I said, Tam, you're really angry and it's starting to affect other people. And I'm not sure like how we can go on this way. Like on some level, you have to choose how you're going to move forward in this because I'm not sure this way is working. And she says that was a moment for her where she realized that she had been playing the role of the victim. And in that moment, she was able to empower herself to actually embrace the change and actually accept what was happening. And yes, now, of course, having Bricks in our life who's 5 years old, we can see it as a big blessing, but you can't see it at the time. And do you all know, playing the victim, do you see how it just keeps the violence, the destruction, the drama, the dysfunction, it just keeps it all in circulation? And I would ask you, is this what God intends for your life? You say, man, this is just my plot to bear. Really? Oh, well, this is just my cross to bear. Really? Stop victimizing yourself. Because you, my brothers and sisters, are not victims. You see, what would it look like for you to enter into cycles of peace in your relationships, your family, your difficult family relationships, to have peace so that you're not always caught up in the drama, so that you can actually keep your humanity along the way? And do you know what's really interesting? Jesus actually spoke about this stuff. Had a lot of words to say about this stuff. And it may not seem like it, but he actually spoke about this stuff. And I want to share with you a text. It comes from the New Testament, the Gospel of Matthew. And this is found in chapter 5. And keep in mind, some of y'all know this. Chapters 5, 6, and 7 are what's called the Sermon on the Mount. It's considered like the bread and butter of Jesus' teachings. And I'll admit to y'all, this text more than so many other scriptures, it baffled me. I never understood this scripture until I put some historical context around it. Then it started to make sense, and this one is absolutely fascinating. Check it out. Here's what Jesus says, Matthew chapter 5, just 4 verses. He says, "You have heard it said, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth." And y'all listen, we could just stop right there and we could do like a 4-week series on just that line alone, because that one is so interesting. And it has all kinds of history. We're not going to go into it though. We're going to keep going. He said, "You've heard it said, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. But I say to you that you must not oppose those who want to hurt you." That don't make sense. "If people slap you on the right cheek, you must turn the left cheek to them as well." That don't make sense either. "When they wish to haul you to court and take your shirt, let them have your coat too." Maybe Jesus is a little crazy. "When they force you to go 1 mile, go with them 2. Do y'all just want to stop and say, hold on, this is totally confusing. Jesus, it sounds like you're telling us to play the role of the victim. It sounds like you're telling us to just take it, that we're supposed to be a doormat and be walked on. And Jesus, maybe you don't understand how messy my family dynamics are, but we've all done the role of the victim and it doesn't work. And how is this teaching going to encourage healthy relationships? Historical context, very important. Keep in mind the people Jesus is speaking to, people in the first century, who are living in the midst of the Roman imperial system, the Roman Empire, the most powerful empire the world has ever seen. You had elites at the top, and then you had people at the bottom. The people Jesus is speaking to, they knew what it was like to be humiliated by those in power. Maybe you know what it's like to be humiliated by some of the power dynamics that have existed for a very long time in your family. And here Jesus gives 3 examples of what it might mean for those suffering to maintain their human dignity. And if you're interested in this subject, there's a book I would recommend to you. It's written by a biblical scholar by the name of Walter Wink. It's called Engaging the Powers. It will blow your mind. It changed my world on this text. He put some context to it. And the first example that Jesus gives is he says, look, if you're slapped on the right cheek, you need to turn your left cheek also. Why would Jesus say this? Sounds crazy. Now, in the ancient world, the backhand slap with the right hand was the most common form of humiliation. You would never use your left hand, by the way, because left hands in the ancient world used for other things. Y'all can Google that and find it out. You would backhand with the right hand, most common form of humiliation. Masters would do this to slaves. Romans would do this to Jews. Can I get a volunteer, please? Come on up here, D-Dog. D-Dog, Darren, for those of you that don't know Darren. Okay, here's how this would work. Now, keep in mind, Darren is the slave. I'm the master, or you can be the Jew, and I'm the Roman. So if I'm backhanding him with my right hand, I'm hitting his what? Right cheek. Jesus says, turn the other cheek as well. Now turn the other cheek. What do? I can't do it like this. Is going to be awkward. I can't hit him with my left hand because I'm never going to stoop down to that level. And you might say, well, just punch him. Hit him with a closed fist. That's what I'd do. I can't hit him with a closed fist. In the ancient world, that would mean he is my equal, and you will never be my equal. You're the slave. You're the Jew. Why does Jesus say, turn the other cheek as well? Because I, as the one in power now, am forced to walk away in confusion. Thank you, Darren. I'm glad I didn't really hit you, man. I'm forced to walk away in confusion. It was Jesus saying to the people, what you say to them, you say the first blow didn't work, try again. You cannot take my human worth from me. Turn the other cheek. Why does Jesus give the second example? Man, if they take you to court and they take your shirt and they take everything, you go ahead and give them your coat too. Makes no sense. Jesus, are we supposed to be victims? Keep in mind, this second example, very familiar to those first century hearers. The setting takes place in the court of law, very familiar. because these people would have known what it was like to be debtors, to sink so far into poverty that they could never pay the debt back. Why does Jesus say, after they've taken everything from you, even your undergarments, why would you give them your coat too? Be a victim? No. It would mean you're marching out of that courtroom buck naked, exposing the system. You're saying to the people around you, you've taken everything. You've taken my undershirts. Now you want my coat too? Take it. What are you going to take next? My life? And keep in mind, in ancient Judaism, nakedness is taboo. Now, the wrongdoing fell not on the naked party, but the ones who viewed the nakedness. Do you see how what Jesus is saying is about exposing an unjust system, exposing the dysfunction? And then you have the third example, where Jesus says, when you're forced to walk 1 mile, you go ahead and you go the 2nd mile. Another familiar example, because this example is drawn from the Greco-Roman laws of limiting the amount of forced labor that they could impose upon their subjects. By law, the Roman soldier could force the person to carry the Roman's pack for 1 mile. But to go further would mean the soldier's in violation of the law. So why does Jesus say go the 2nd mile? Oh, just take it. No. Go the 2nd mile because it's about the suffering, recovering their own human dignity. What's the Roman soldier to do? Be in violation of the law? Can you imagine the humor in the situation? A Roman soldier is pleading with a Jew to let me carry my pack. Give me my pack back, man. You're going to get me in trouble. Do you see, y'all, when you're following this Jesus stuff, you have to be very careful, because you will constantly be invited to do the inner work in your life. You will constantly be invited to maintain your peace and dignity along the way. And you might say tonight, well, my family is just a mess, and now what? And what do I do? And let's go back to that question. Is what you're doing right now, is it working? Or are you just a complete mess in here? Because you can't fix them. You've tried to control other people. You can't do it. It doesn't work. But you don't have to become a victim to your circumstances along the way. And listen, I do know some of you here, some of you joining online, you're facing very difficult family situations, very difficult and challenging relationships, so much so that your body just kind of stays in this constant state of anxiousness. And so much so you go to lay your head on the pillow at night, and it's the only thing you can think about, and you're thinking about how to fix this, and it keeps you tossing and turning. And I would say to you, yes, you are going to have to stop wishing for a different past. Yes, some of y'all are going to have to stop wishing that parent would have given you something that they were not capable of giving you. Yes, you are going to have to stop fantasizing about what the perfect family is. Yes, you are going to have to look in the mirror and do inventory, take inventory, and you're going to have to find your role in it. And maybe your new role is not one of victim, but it's one of empowerment, so that you can actually make decisions in your life, so that you can actually set up boundaries in your life. And maybe it's the first time ever you've actually created those boundaries. Because the truth is, as the psalmist said in the Psalms, you are created with a tremendous amount of power. You're crammed with greatness. You are empowered to make decisions in your life about those family relationships. And when you begin to see yourself in this light, in my experience, you will begin asking a different set of questions. You'll be asking questions like, how am I going to not participate in this relationship drama? How am I going to step out of it? How am I going to say no to the drama? You'll be asking questions like, how am I going to relinquish the idea of trying to control other people? Because you know it doesn't work. You'll be asking questions like, what do I need to do in this situation to maintain my peace? Because if it costs you your peace, it's too expensive. And you might even be asking, is what I'm about to do, is the next step I'm about to take in relationship with that family dynamic, is me going to that gathering or me showing up in that place, me continuing in this relationship, is it going to cause more harm or more harmony? And I would highly recommend you ask yourself this question on a regular basis: what's mine to carry and what's not mine to carry? Because the truth is, so much of the stuff that we carry around is not ours to carry. It doesn't mean you get to drop everything and you carry nothing. Some of it is yours to carry. Most of it's probably not yours to carry. So I would ask you, what burdens, what baggage do you need to lay down? Do you need to stop carrying when it comes to your really messy family situation? Because the truth is, you're not a victim. You're not a victim. And this amazing thing happens when you start laying those things down. When you start laying down the things that aren't yours to carry, this amazing thing happens. That's when the real power is experienced. As the Apostle Paul told the church in Philippi in the first century, then when you lay this stuff down, then the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds. So we're going to hear a song together right now. This song is, it's called Unsteady by the Ex-Ambassadors. And I would encourage you to take a moment and reflect. What things do you need to lay down? What burdens do you need to lay down? The things you've been carrying that aren't yours. Where have you been playing the role of the victim? Where do you need to stop playing the role of the victim? And ask yourself, is what I'm doing right now with my messy family situation, is what I'm doing right now, is it working? I invite you to take a moment and reflect. This time is yours. Sometimes I don't intend to do this, and it just happens because it's who I am. So I was just walking out these doors, and Carrie was out there, and she said, "Oh my word, tonight, like just so you and Ryan together is just so intense." And I was like, "Oh, really?" I didn't expect, like, intense wasn't the word I'd use for it, but she said, "No, I needed to hear all of it. I needed, but it was just really intense." And so sometimes I know in intense moments, I'm an Enneagram 4, I'm drawn to intensity. The song is maybe a little intense. So if you need to take a moment and breathe, just be reminded you're still here. Put your feet on the ground. Pay attention to your breathing. For those of you dealing with heavy family situations, you're here, you're okay. You're still alive and kicking. So breathe. Okay, now that that's over. Every Saturday night, if you're new with us, we have a guest storyteller in the house, and Ryan is joining us as our guest storyteller. But let me say a few more words. I know Noel told you he's the founder and owner of Dynamic Dinner. You can check out the website, dynamicdinner.co. Ryan comes to us tonight as the loved one, because y'all do know we're 3 different groups of people, and I know we're always much more than that, but addicts, loved ones of addicts, and spiritual refugees. He's the loved one, comes from a home of addiction. He's going to tell some of that story. He's also just done some fascinating things in his ripe young age of 28 years. Sorry, I hope that was okay for me to point out your age. But he's been a filmmaker in Ukraine and around the world, and he's lived in different places. And now he is so deeply invested in creating human connection. So I can't wait for you all to meet my friend Ryan Fila. Welcome to the living room. Welcome back, my man.
We held it together this time.
Dude, last time Ryan walked up on the stage. Speaking of intense, I mean, he was like a blubbery mess, and I was like, dude, we got some work to do here, and he pulled it together, though. It was beautiful. Yeah. Let's be intense together. You want to?
Yeah, apparently. Intense. Yeah, you know.
So we'll jump right into Ryan's story. Such a big part of your life is giving back through the pain. It's what you're about with your life's work, but that started somewhere. You grew up in a home of addiction, both parents addicts. Tell us a little bit about that, what that was like for you.
Yeah, the brief of it is mom was addicted to meth. Dad was an alcoholic, dabbled as well. But basically a lot of my childhood was around the drama triangle, for sure. Between the two of them, they were never married. One of the first memories I have of them is dad trying to take us away from mom. And basically my dad was like, come on, get in the car. And mom laid behind the car. So dad had 2 options, either run her over and take us, or get out. And as I got older, things started to parse out, and the intensity, to use the word, started to flare up, like fights with dad and walking in on mom with a needle, and it like started to really stir.
Yeah. And your mom ended up doing time, I think?
Yeah, mom went to prison. That was another custody exchange. Dad took mom to court. Mom went to prison, dad got the kids. It was the whole game.
So it was kind of a messy family dynamic.
For sure. I was an accident. We can start there.
And anyone who grew up in a household of addiction, it's a common story, right? Very familiar story. In 2016, a very significant event happened in your life that shaped, I think you would say, shaped the rest of your life. Can you talk through 2016 with us?
Yeah, it was a huge catalyst in why I came up here as a blubbery mess in the first one. My dad ended up shooting himself when I was 20. I was a junior in college and ended up getting the phone call. I wasn't home, but got the phone call from my uncle, flew back down to Denver, ended up giving the eulogy, which was the most emotionally conflicted I had been at that age. I was like, I'm up here talking about the life and death of my dad, which was intense and sad, and then also loved it. Like, I loved the opportunity of getting to speak and share in the darkness. Yeah. And through that, to fast forward to that song, that was one of the main songs I would listen to in the shower, like after my dad died, and just.
And dude, I didn't
rain.
know that. So for those of
It
you
was
who are like, why would
perfectly
you play
timed.
that song? I didn't know that.
You creep my Spotify, we get it.
So this played such a role in what you do now. But before we get to what you do now, your life's work, can you tell us a little bit about how this shaped how you're in relationship with some of your family members today? Your mom, how you even talk about your relationship with your dad today, how that's changed, it's transformed. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, one thing that came up even from the conversation that we had in the first service is this transition. Currently, like Ryan, current day, is focusing a lot on this empowerment aspect of relationships. When I was 17, I left home and went to college, and it was the first time that I had personally really given myself the choice of, do I want a relationship with my parents? Like, that's my choice, not the courts. Like, before I was 13, everyone was like, this is where you live. When I was 13, they were like, who do you like the most? And then when I was 17, it was like, damn, do I want to choose my kids to have their grandparents in their life? And that choice has continued to reverberate through my adult years and really transformed my relationship with my mom that I do have, and given me the stage and the opportunity to set boundaries, to say, this is my stuff, this is your stuff, this is the stuff I'm willing to put up with, this is the stuff I'm not, and not feel that guilt, that shame.
Yeah.
And truthfully, a big part of that was Dad's death. I mean, after that happened, my relationship with my father continued to evolve in different ways that I would have never even guessed, but giving me more empathy with him and still giving me boundaries of things where I'm like, that is not mine, even if he's not around.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's continued to shift and will forever change. I'll forever have a relationship with my dad. It's just all here and in spirit.
Yep.
It just looks different.
And this is what's always so great about these stories, because all the odds are against you, right? Growing up in a home of addiction, the odds are against you. The fact you're not battling addiction is something in itself, but even then, the odds are against you. But you said that was a catalyst to go and do these other things in your life, like pick up a video camera and just start telling the story in Ukraine. Like, can you tell us how did that happen in your life? Like, just tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, and I think the question prompts, like even where I was starting in that last response is current day Ryan is reframing. How do I take this? How do I take that memory that I have with my mom under the back wheels of the car and be like, wow, I was so lucky. Wow, my dad passed away. And even telling people, we talked about this, about setting up a workshop around the gifts of losing a parent. Talk about a taboo subject.
Yeah.
What are the gifts? Everything is a coin.
Yeah.
There's a light and a shadow. How do I see my life through that lens of, no, I wasn't stacked against. This is a gift.
Yeah.
And
do you say that's different than, so what you're not saying is, oh, that was a good thing, I'm glad it happened, I want to go through that again.
Yeah, no.
But you're being able to take the gift from that moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think one, in my judgment, in my experience, is one is authentic and real, and one is me trying to force it. And I've tried to force it many times.
Yeah.
I try to force it right now. There are ways in my life where I'm trying to force it.
Yeah.
But there's an ownership, an empowerment of like, man, this is why that was a gift.
Yeah.
In Ukraine, like this idea of going into the chaos, I don't think any of that would be a part of my life if it wasn't for the childhood that I had. Truly.
Yeah.
I don't think I would fly to Ukraine and be like, man, this is where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah, so what compelled that, dude? I'm curious about that. We didn't talk about this last time.
Yeah.
Most people said, okay, that's where I'm not going. I'm not going to go to an active war zone.
Yeah.
Something in you said, dude, I got to go. That's where I got to go.
Yeah, to give it a little preface, I had been a travel content creator for almost 2 years, lived in Peru and Kenya and did Paris Fashion Week and all the things. And I was on the floor.
Did you just drop I did Paris Fashion Week and all those things? Like, come on, let's just pause there for, okay, keep going.
Yeah, and I was on the floor of the Denver International Airport, actually between trips, and Haiti was happening. There was a hurricane, earthquake in Haiti at the same time as Kabul, Afghanistan. This is where it started. And it was the voice, like the spiritual voice inside, said go. And I was like, what? This is the first time. And I was like, well, Kabul seems a little intense. I don't think I can do that. So I flew to Haiti. And I just bought a ticket, didn't know anybody there, went and rebuilt one home with the nonprofit that I had at the time. And then about a year later, if I got my time right, then Ukraine unfolded. And it was the same voice. It was the same internal voice that said, go. And I was like, what do you mean? And after probably 48 hours, I was like, well, I guess we're going.
So you took a long time to think about this.
48's a stretch. Yeah, maybe a hot 36. I just wanted to be humble. Yeah, and
So
that was the catalyst. It was
what happened
truly
when you
internal.
got there? How'd that go?
Yeah, well, first it didn't go well. The most intense part for me, if I'm genuinely being honest, was before getting to the border. It was what my mom had to say. It was what my brother had to say. It was what God bless the Facebook comments had to say.
Yeah.
And yeah, my mom on the phone said, I hope you have money for your funeral because I can't afford that. And I was like, I hear you. I love you. So I land in Ukraine. Actually, I land in Budapest, rent a car, told the rental car place, yeah, I'm just here for tourism. They're like, sure, here's the keys. Drove directly to the Polish-Ukraine border and wanted to research. I was like, what's really happening here? Because things are moving so fast and everybody has an opinion from the other side of the world.
Yeah.
But what's really happening? So we pulled up to the border, and even while I was there, half of the people were like, yeah, you can get across, like you could get into Ukraine if you wanted. The other half's like, no, you can't go. I'm like, we're literally here. How does nobody know? So as we're traveling around, there's a guy with a grand piano. Did anybody see this guy? He's like playing at the Polish-Ukraine border with a full piano. No? Yeah.
It's on your
Couple head
YouTube
nods.
channel, though.
It
I'll
is on
share
the
that
YouTube
out.
channel.
It's-
But he was like all over the internet. So we pull up, I'm filming him. I still don't have a story. I have no connections, no anything.
Yeah.
And I say, man, this is amazing. I give him a hug. I walk away. And that same internal voice was like, where are you going? That's the story. And I was like, oh, got it. So I went back up to him. His name's David. And I said, hey, do you want to go to Ukraine tomorrow? And he's like, yeah. I was like, perfect. I'll see you in the morning, like 8:30. He's like, yeah, I'm sleeping in my car over there. I'll see you there. Bring a coffee. I was like, okay. I pulled back up. The next morning, he's sleeping in his car with his cat. I knock on the window, and I'm like, hey, you ready? We pack up his grand piano and drive across the border. And, yeah, the rest is history on the video.
Wow. And he just started playing in the station, right?
Yeah, we pulled up to the train station in Lviv and pulled his grand piano out, and he played for people as they were leaving instead of entering.
I mean, like a real gift he was able to give.
Yeah.
So let's fast forward a little bit because you came back to Denver. Now you're here, and you give me the language. You're so deeply invested in creating human connection. I don't know if you'd change that language, but you're doing it with these dinner experiences all over Denver. What's behind that? What is it?
Yeah, from when I got back from that trip to the first dinner is about 2 years. I was like, man, I'm trying to make this travel content creation thing work. There's something here. There was an aspect of human connection. There's something with seeing the way human beings across the globe are living this life. We are all given this place, whatever our faith is, and said, live it. And I'm fascinated by that and how people approach it. About a year and a half later, I find myself in the darkest season of my life. And I'm going through this breakup, moving homes. There's one point I pull out the gun that my dad used, and I was like, I get it. I was like, this place, this experience can be so painful, can be so confusing. I'm like crying in my bedroom. I was like, I get it. Another shift in that relationship with my dad, but through that I find myself in my bathtub. night after night after night in this new studio apartment with nobody around, no community. Like, what now? And it was in those conversations, those moments where I kept hearing, like, this dinner thing, dynamics. I love the dynamics. Do something with that. It was probably 6 weeks I sat with it in the bathtub, and I was like, a dinner? I was like, I just got back from Ukraine, a war zone, telling stories. You want me to host a dinner? Are you okay? So I host this dinner, and 20 people come. 20 people in my circle, and I'm not attached to anything else coming of it. And here we are 13 months later, basically, of it snowballing. And I've spent almost all of my 20s building these systems to live within. And I'm like, here's everything I need to know. Do it. And then I hate it because it has no soul. But these dinners weren't that.
So these dinners, these are like soul dinners.
Soul dinners.
So
I'm going to rename them, actually.
You can steal that one.
We'll talk about it later.
Just what do people say about it? Like, so if I go, which I am going, April 26th, y'all are invited too, but what do I expect? What should I expect? What's the feeling I'm going to leave with afterwards?
I like that question more. What is the feeling I'm going to leave with?
Yeah.
The feeling is going to be, I hope, and judge, and has been, oh, that's what I was doing here.
Yeah.
That's what I was doing here. There's basically throughout the night, we'll get together, have a moment for everyone to connect and speak into the space, do an authentic relation, human connection piece that's facilitated that I think is really the secret sauce.
Yeah.
That creates another level of safety in the night. Break up into smaller groups, have dinner, have a held conversation so that one person at the table doesn't take over the entire conversation. And then break it back into the big group, connect, and then that's where that moment will happen. Like, oh, I get it.
That's why we're here. Beautiful, man. So y'all can sign up for this at, as Noel said, our website, or it's dynamicdinnerco.co, right? Yep. Dynamicdinner.co. Ryan, have you read Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning?
I have.
Okay, so for those of you that read it,
snap it up,
dude.
Yeah.
You're telling that story of redeeming those negative perspectives. You're finding redemption in them. It's so beautiful. Even when you talk about a tender moment of picking up that gun and being able to have sympathy and compassion, very powerful stuff. Anything you want to close with, man, before we depart ways?
Yeah, it's really. It's not a show. Thank you for being here. Like, thank you for being in this space, for cultivating this space. I have this, it was really strong in the first one, but this feeling of gratitude that this exists. Because if my dad would have found something like this, he may still be here.
Yeah.
Truly. And I don't know who it is for you, but somebody, this means the world to, the fact that you're even here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Ryan Fila, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Ryan. Thanks, buddy. Good stuff, man. So Ryan's going to stick around for a few minutes afterwards. If you got questions or want to know more about the dinners, talk to Ryan. Honored to be partnering with you in this project. All right, y'all. The way we close things on a Saturday night here is very similar to how we begin. We begin with the celebrations, and we close with heartaches, the burdens that you may be carrying around with you and trying to carry it on your own and finding out you have no business carrying it on your own. It's why you have community. It's why we have a God who hears the cries of the people. So if you're carrying something and you need to put words to it, just articulate it to get it out. Well, this is what this 3 minutes is for. Again, if you're joining us online, you can drop those heartaches in the YouTube comments or the Facebook comments, whatever platform you're joining us from. And Paige and Dara, could I get you to pass around a mic again? Where's our other? Oh, there's the other mic. You'll probably just have to turn it on. So I just encourage you, Dara will take this side, Paige will take this side. I encourage you, if you have a heartache, just raise up your hand and they'll get you a mic, and this time is yours. or we could just sit and meditate for 3 minutes.
I want to lift up my mom. She's living back in her car. And yeah, just praying for her.
All right. Lifting up your mom, brother.
Hey, I'm Chris, and I just want to lift up my wife and her family. Her uncle passed away during the last service. He was one of us, and it came on rather suddenly in early 50s. And I'm just glad we're all here in this room. And please, if you would, just good thoughts or prayers towards my wife Tasha and her family and her uncle. Thank you.
Yeah. Tasha, lots of love and grace and prayers being sent your way tonight and your family.
Hi, I'd just like to lift up my brother Jesse. He started drinking again, and I hope that he stops.
Yeah. What a good prayer. We hope that he stops. Yeah. Prayers for him. Prayers for Jesse.
Hello, my name's Rachel. My sponsor just found out actually that she has stage 2 pancreatic cancer. So I really have been praying and just thinking about her every day because I kind of think of her as like a second mom of mine. So she's a very good influence in my life. So just please keep her in your thoughts.
Yeah. Prayers for your sponsor. Oh, and I think right next to Rachel. We just made that super awkward.
I'll stand up so I can see everybody. My name's Debbie, and there's a woman on my mind that's in the program. We all have a sober get-together in Palm Springs in June, and last June, she was there with her daughter, and a week after that, her daughter was murdered. And so it's just like we're going to see her again for the first time without her daughter. And, I don't know what to say. And, it's just going to be, I really just want to hug her, but, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
So it's hard to understand why that happened. And I'm just lost.
Oh, yeah. Prayers for them and you, Debbie. That's heavy stuff. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that with us. Thank you, Dara and Paige. Jeremy, you want to join me up here for a moment to just read some online? Yeah, you need to join me up here. One of the Rainwaters is joining me up here. We'll make this as awkward as we need to make it. Welcome, Jeremy Rainwater, ladies and gentlemen. Acts like he's all bashful. Sorry, dude. I'm just so grateful for you, Jeremy. This is one of our board members, by the way. Yeah, you take that side. Man, see, you've done this before. Dude, did you grow? How tall are you now? All right. I'm not wearing my docs or anything. All right, well, heartache with our online people. You read the first one, then I'll read the second one, and we'll go back and forth.
Christy says, found myself in another unhealthy relationship that I want to get out of. Prayers for you, Christy.
Mm-hmm. Martha says, prayers for our family and friends in Israel tonight and in coming days. Prayers for Gaza. Yeah, thank you, Martha, for lifting them up. They were lifted up last service too. That apparently some new things happened today. I haven't watched any news today or read anything, but lots of turmoil and violence and war. And yeah, prayers for the people who are experiencing that.
Stephen says, please pray for everyone affected by the wars going on, especially tonight.
Yeah, heavy stuff in our world tonight, people. Thank you, Stephen. Julie says, can I lift up my 5 kids and those I serve? They need me. I'm doing my best one day at a time. They deserve it, but so do I. Yeah, keep going. Keep going, Julie. Prayers for you, one day at a time. That's how we do it. And we do it together. Glad you're here, praying for you. Thank you, Jeremy, for coming up here. Yeah, I appreciate you, brother. Yeah. Man, he always smells good, too. Always smells good. Every time I get sugar from Jeremy. All right, y'all. Hey, if you've been impacted by the mission of breaking the silence of addiction, well, you need to know we encourage your generous giving here. It's how we're funded. We're funded by you, the people. And I know many of you have made this a spiritual practice in your life. You said, look, I realize even money is spiritual. Like, this is part of my life. This is part of how I live. And many of you have made it a sacrificial practice in your life, and you give sacrificially. And even if it's not here, it's other places. And I can tell you, we're grateful for it here. And I know those other organizations are grateful for it. It's how we're funded by you, the people. Thank you, thank you, thank you. There are a few different ways to give in this community. First one is download the free app, Free Recovery Community. There's a giving button there. You can give weekly or monthly or one time, however you want to do it. We're grateful for all of it. You can also go straight to the website. It has the same giving button on it, freerecoverycommunity.com. Safe and secure ways to give. Or there's the giving kiosk, one beside this door that cleverly says giving, and the other one outside these doors that also says giving, for those of you who carry cash and want to make a donation. Or a new thing we have, which is a couple months old now, but it's our dip jar. If you haven't used the dip jar yet, it's a really fun way to give. It's set at $20, so you can't give more, you can't give less. You dip your credit card in, the thing lights out, then you pull your credit card out, and then it lights up in big circles, and you get to feel like you're kind of at a carnival, and it's a really fun way to give. So if that's you, head to the dip jar and know how grateful we are for your giving in this community. And for those of you, I should say this more often, I know there are people that join us week in and week out online. You're part of this community, and you give week in and week out. And man, I hope you hear it from me, Tammy, the board, leaders in this community. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. It makes a big difference. Thank you for being a part of it. Shall we go out with a prayer? Yeah, I would encourage you to open your hands. And again, just breathe. Yeah, maybe you're dealing with some family dynamics. Maybe you got hard conversations coming up. Maybe you got those relationships that are just, man, they're dicey right now. Yeah, breathe. Be reminded that God is as close as breathing. And the breath you just took and the one you took after that. And if you don't know the Serenity Prayer, it's on your screen. We'll pray it together, and it goes like this. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen. Grace and peace to you, my free brothers and sisters.